Good night, Sports Frenzy family. Good night, everyone. Welcome to another Sports Frenzy podcast. I'm your host, Levon, and tonight is a show different from the others. I know that you guys aren't normally accustomed to us being here on a Saturday, but today has just blessed us with some difference. So, with that being said, we'll have to be here to serve you guys with all the interesting things that has transpired throughout the day. And guess what? Also, tonight is a show different from all the others that we have ever had because on tonight's show for the first time, we'll have our first female panelist. And let me just give a brief introduction about her. We're talking about former Wilmerian athlete and Jamaican athlete, Danielle Dowie. Welcome to the show, Danielle. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful, and I'm honored to be your first female panelist. Thank you for having me, and welcome to everyone watching and tuning in as well.
Okay. So, first off, how are things on your side?
How are things on my side? Just in
Yeah,
general,
all
where
right.
I'm location.
All right. So, what I had heard is that you also have a podcast that you tend to do at times that is informative. I got this information from one Jason Curlew, so I have to just let it out there. So, in regards to that, how is it going?
Um, a podcast that I do from time to time. I'm not sure if he's talking about my Facebook Live. That's just pure boredom. But I am planning to officially launch a podcast, but I have not done so yet. It is in the works. And when it is launched, I will come back and introduce you guys to it formally if you so have me do that.
Of course, we don't have a problem with that.
Mhm.
So, also for the viewers, whatever comments you need to bring across or whatever questions you need to throw across, just have it in the comment section and I'll put it forward to her. So, we're going to look at the event that actually took place today. It was built up as a spectacle and it never flattered to deceive. It was a bomb-ass event, to be honest. And as my YouTube caption said, Sha'Carri got her ass kicked. That's how I have to put it. I don't have to put it any other way else but that way. So we saw Elaine Thompson-Herah running the second fastest time ever with a 10.54 clocking. It was it was so amusing. It was so fun feeling. I mean, I can't even find the adjectives to actually put it into perspective how I felt at the point in time. The thing is, we it wasn't in doubt that she could actually run this time because from the Olympics we saw that she ran 10.61 and she was actually slowing down. So from there and then we said that hey, 10.5 is right in her alley. Now looking at it from that standpoint, what do you make of Elaine Thompson race overall?
Well, it's a big deal, obviously. Again, she runs the second fastest time in history, 10:54. A lot of people are saying that it didn't get the attention it deserved, and that's true. It's right there, 500ths of a second off the world record, the infamous Flojo record that everyone thought was unbreakable, and now we're like, oh, wait a minute, she's right there. So super impressive. And of course, what everybody is talking about, the sweet, sweet feeling of seeing Sha'Carri lose. Um, I mean, it's so unfortunate that Elaine hasn't been getting the due, right? We're not focusing all our energy on the hype around the 10:54. I think everybody is just kind of celebrating getting back at Sha'Carri's bravado and all of that, which is entertaining. But when we stop and put it into perspective, we knew that Elaine had the 10-5 in her legs, but to actually go out there and do it again, that's a big deal. And that's a long way coming for the setbacks that she's had. Coming back at the Olympics, doing the double-double, cementing that, and then there were talks of if so and so was there, if so and so had this start, and then she comes. And for me, when I saw the 100 meters, that 1, 2, 3, it was spectacular in the way when Bolt kind of opened up the world for us. And I was like, yo, my comment was that was Bolt-esque. That's how I felt. And I knew the 200 meter was in the bag immediately. So today, again, when I saw how dominant that performance was, I was like thinking the same thing. And it's fitting because she's so close to the world record. So it's still Bolt-esque for me. Although, you know, it's her name, it's her performance, it's her hard work. So I'm going to go with it's what? Her era. So, yeah.
But it's only fitting that you brought up that Bolt-esque thing because today is actually the GOAT birthday. So I mean, she gave him a wonderful present on his birthday. So I mean, it could have been inspired. But what I want you to look at before I move on, you brought up a valid point when you mentioned about other things getting the limelight and all that. Because I've been following the Jamaica Gleaner. They made a post, a congratulatory post with Elaine performance, and that garnered over like 600 comments. And they said I heard Jamaican people saying that we should support our athletes and stop bringing them down and all that. Yet, a post with Sha'Carri has gone over 2,800 comments. So just look at the disparity with our Jamaican people. Same one saying that we should support our athletes, yet they're supporting the negativity more than how they're actually supporting our whole. So that was a brilliant point by
Yeah,
you.
I think I've seen that because I've been watching the comments from before we even got to the Olympics. A lot of Jamaicans and a lot of fans were saying that Sha'Carri's lack of respect or reverence for other athletes and just what's out there, because it was more than trash talking. It was like disrespectful. A lot of the comments that she made, and everybody was just getting into this shady thing, and people were supporting it. They were like, oh, this is good for the sport. Trash talking, it's good. But it was more than trash talking. Gatlin used to trash talk. He never used to diss Bolt. He used to trash talk. There's a big difference between disrespect and trash talk. I think she kind of fused the two, and a lot of people were going for it. And I was like, why do they like this? This is unhealthy. But that's what people are addicted to. It's serve everybody some pleasure to see her lose today. I wasn't surprised. I feel like that type of personality can either make you come first or last. Like, I feel like she was either gonna crack under the pressure or she was gonna end up second. Or, I don't want to say first because I didn't think she was going to win. But yeah, I feel like it was going to be as dramatic as top three or around the back, and she definitely came. So, when in her interview, I thought I was hearing Nicki Minaj do like one of her impersonations, like the voice, the everything. It was just such a caricature, and I was like, what is going on? Is this for real?
What I really want to get at is that if you look at it, wouldn't you say that the Jamaican media overall, the Jamaican populace, are giving too much attention to her, and that within itself helps to boost her ego, knowing that they give her a lot of attention? Because I've seen her on her Twitter profile, and I keep on seeing Jamaicans flooding her Twitter profile and all of that. Don't you think that is what helps to propel her to the position that they probably hold her in?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Twitter doing what Twitter does, but I did have a problem at the national trials when Shelly-Ann won, and the first thing, the reporter said to her was Sha'Carri Richardson. And I was like, excuse me? We're at the national trials. America would never do that. They gave Sha'Carri lane 5. Everything was, they didn't even, NCB interview Elaine? No, the interview that I saw of Elaine was a local journalist interviewing her. And guess what? The local journalist asked her about Sha'Carri. And the local journalist got the time wrong. She was like, oh, you're on 10:52, Elaine 10:54, correcting her. And you can't blame her. Come on, you're there from me. You're from Jamaica, around 10:54. You got the time wrong, and then you have the nerve to come ask me about Sha'Carri. And then if Elaine had given her some Elaine, because you can see such a PhD, if she had given her some Elaine, we would have said, don't do that. But you can't be so disrespectful. It happened at the national trials. It happened here today again. And why Pardon?
Remember the Olympics, it also happened because I believe it was after, I don't remember if it was Elaine or it was Shelley that won and semi-final, and then the question was posted to them that what do you think about Sha'Carri? And I believe it was Shelley, and she shut it down instantly. I stand corrected. I don't remember who it quite was, but I loved how they handled that interview because I mean she wasn't there, so why are you
That is
talking about her?
crazy. I missed that interview, but that is absolutely crazy. I don't know. I'm at the Olympics semi-final and getting ready to, and you're asking me about somebody who's not there. That's crazy. And it irritates me, especially when our local journalists do it. Because when you go to BBC, you're centered around British athletes. NCB, they're all about American athletes. TBC, in Jamaica, TVJ is asking about, the local journalists are asking about Sha'Carri. Come on, that's horrible.
But in terms of Elaine overall performance, right? Talk us through her phases. What were you most impressed by?
Well, okay, see, somebody said they disagree. It was trash talk, not disrespectful. But let's get back to that. So one thing I noticed is that Elaine, I just like how she has improved her mechanics, her efficiency through the race. She's improved her start. Her top end looks beautiful, and overall, her turnovers are just faster. She looks effortless going through the phase. She's maximizing the track. She's doing everything so efficiently, and I think that's just. And on top of that, she's healthy. So I think that's just the difference for Elaine. It's very satisfying to watch her be so impressive, so fast, and it just looks so effortless for me. When I watched the race, I watched it over and over again, and I'm looking at the start. I felt like I wanted to see more. I felt like there was a little hesitation from the start. When she popped up out of the drive phase, I felt like there was a little hesitation, but she ran through the line. She was confident. She didn't panic or anything. She just allowed her speed to come out, and I think that's also very impressive. To just be that confident, to know that you're going to pass them, just relax. And I'm enjoying watching her run fast.
I agree. And I said it to someone that, well, both Josh and I were talking about the event itself, and we both came to the conclusion that had Elaine run exactly how she did at the Olympics, by also running through the line, that world record would have been gone today on this track. Agree or disagree? But
I think
after the race, that same interview that she actually got in, she said that she actually wants to break those 100 and 200 meter world record because she wants to inspire other athletes. She wants to inspire the younger generation. Do you think she has it within her to get those two records?
I do, especially see her getting the 100 meter record. That I see happening this season. I don't see the 200 meter happening. Maybe she has something special for us and one of the Diamond Leagues coming up. But I definitely see the 100 meter record going. I think that's a strong possibility. And I also like that her interviews are, more delightful to watch. No, I think she's improving her marketability and her interview content and what she's saying, and just appearing now more mainstream. Still not as crazy as Shaq, but I like how she's presenting herself in the interviews as well.
Okay. So if you look at the other athletes now, Shelley, she ran 10.73. Were you satisfied with that, or you think that she could have possibly gone faster?
For me, I was expecting Shelley to be closer. I thought she was going to run 10.6 or be closer in the last part. I saw an interview with Glenn Mills saying that he thought that she peaked a little bit too early before the trials, and I have to agree with him. And I still think she ran a really good race. I just think that Elaine was just that much better on the day.
Okay. In regards to you now, I know that you normally partake in the 400-meter hurdles, and that event has blown up, and I see Sydney McCakin and Dalila Mohammed has raised the standard to a very high quality event. First off, what do you think about the 400-meter hurdles, and then in regards to your career wise, what are you up to?
Well, I am so excited when I watch the 400-meter hurdles. We got world records on both sides. I think definitely at the Olympics, the race that shut me up and had me like completely speechless was Varham. That 45.94 race, that was the race that got me speechless. So I like where the 400-meter hurdles is going on the women's side. Sydney and Dalila, the competition between them, running 51 seconds. That is something that, you can only dream of and work towards. And, for me personally, it was very, I was happy seeing so many women get to that level, because that's a part of your career as a 400-meter hurdler. Like running 52, that's like 52 seconds. That's like your, the point that everyone wants to get to. And to see so many women get to that point this season, that was fun to watch. It's a really good feeling when you're able to meet those career milestones. And for Sydney being the first woman below 52 seconds, that was just absolutely crazy. And then again, both of them, Dalila and her, running under 52 seconds at the Olympic Games. That was crazy. So for me, all I see is that a lot of younger women are maturing in the event earlier. Usually when you're around 25, 26 to 32, you start grasping the 400-meter hurdle, you start understanding the rhythm, the race pattern. And you're seeing kids come straight out of high school now, and they've mastered that rhythm. They've mastered how to run the race. They're more efficient at a younger age. So we're getting the results like Sydney McCakin and Femke Ball. Their running style is just perfect for the style of event. You have to be consistent, you have to be disciplined, patient into the hurdles, and you have to know how to speed up in your rhythm. And so I see a lot of these athletes mastering that at an early age, and that makes me feel good, because it takes some of us very long to get it, and to see some people getting it from so young, it's just a good feeling.
All right, so in regards to still
no, I'm not. I stopped officially training in 2019. Unfortunately for me, my career, I didn't have the outcome I wanted. I left college in 2014, my senior year. I was injured. My best year was my junior year, 2013, when I made the World Championship team for Jamaica. And I actually went to the World Championship injured. I was advised not to go because I was having terrible shin splints, and I went anyway. I performed poorly. I came back pool for half of my senior year, and I managed to win conference. Didn't make the finals at nationals. As a senior and as a freshman, I made the finals. So it was not good ending to my college career. And then it didn't really get better for me. I never recovered from the injuries that I had senior year. I came to Jamaica and got additional injuries. I moved to Jamaica in 2015, and I kept getting re-injured every season, just re-injured. And it became frustrating for me. And I was a bit of a track head, so it was very painful for me to have to come to the terms with, look, you've given yourself a lot of chance to get over these, and you're not getting over it. So in 2018, 19, I had to entertain the idea. I had to just stop, and it was a very painful experience for me. If you did catch me in 2019 when I stopped and asked him about track, I would probably just burst out in tears. But um, you know, I have stepped away from training, and I've been doing a little bit of sports analysis, well, a lot, and I'm teaching now as a high school in Port Antonio, and I am again working on some other things. I'm working on a children's book, and again and my podcast. So just keeping myself busy. I'm not sure entirely where I want to go in terms of career direction. So I'm just keeping myself busy until I figure out where I want to go next. It's not like track and field where I was so passionate and I'm sure that this is what I want to do. You know, ever since I stopped, it's kind of like, okay, what next? And I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm keeping myself occupied with meaningful engagements until I figure out for sure where I want to focus all my energy on.
Because I was just about to ask you the question that after you gave up track, how difficult was it to possibly just get back on the foot? Because as I said, you are more of a track head, so your head was just entirely surrounded by that. So now that you have to possibly give up on that dream, didn't you kick in at some point and say, hey, what do I do now? Where do I go from here?
It was very painful for me. I'm not gonna lie. I really didn't give myself any option. Like, I had options. As a bright girl, I could have gone to grad school. I could have done a lot of different things, but I didn't want that. I wasn't interested in that. I was very devoted to track and field, very devoted to my sports, and I did a lot of different things to get healthy. I went vegan for a year. I flew all over the place to get medical treatment. I tried yoga. I tried so many different things to get healthy. You know, coach said, okay, take 3 months off, take 2 months off. I did everything. And so people would come and say, have you tried this? Have you done this? It was always, yes, I have. So it was one of those instances where, you know, it was very painful for me to even have to entertain the stopping and not having the outcome that I wanted. And like I said, I'm not exaggerating when I said if you had Dowie Wagwan in 2019 and asked me how training, I would have just burst out, and that's how painful it was for me. And I was depressed for like a full year. And I thought the year afterwards I was fine. And then a close friend of mine brought it up, and bam, more tears. So it definitely was a process for me to even be here, to be able to talk about it and just be cool. But when you're that committed, and you guys can see, when you see your athletes go out there, and for example, one moment that made me cry was at the Olympics when Tambiri put down his cast from his surgery. Like, I'm very emotional, by the way. I might just start crying now. But yeah, so that moment made me cry because I'm just like, you know, I can feel that. And there are a lot of athletes who, you know, their stories, if you hear their stories, you just have to just appreciate where they are, and you have to wonder how they are where they are. So there's a lot of stories like that. Some people are able to go forward and realize their dreams and get a medal, and some of us don't. So it's all part of it. And yeah.
And we're absolutely happy that you have somewhat gotten over it, that you could be here to just talk us through it and to break it down.
Yes.
On that note, I'm going to bring in the rest of the panelists to see if they have any question for you, and then we can let you go.
Okay.
All right, so Kim, so welcome, boss.
Yes, sir.
You have any question for Daniel?
Yes, I actually do. So I have a question. So Daniel, so I'm going back to the race today, right? So I'm not sure if you ever had a particular experience like what I want is a part A and a part B of the question. So from the Jamaican side, have you ever had such a fierce rival where this person is, going at it, and say, there is no possible way I can make this person beat me. No matter what it takes for me, like there's no possible way I can let this person beat me. If not, then as an athlete, or as a former athlete, what do you think is going through the psyche of a Shelley Fraser, a Elaine Thompson, a Sherika Jackson, knowing that, they are very much out there on social media, they're seeing what's going on, they know what's being said. What do you think is going through the psyche of them? So that's part A. Part B is for the Sha'Carri Richardson side now. What do you think is going through her mentals, knowing that, man, this is just a 1, 2, 3. I was banned for a month. I don't know if I'm in the best shape, but I know these women are running times that I've never ran before. That is Shelley and Elaine. I've never run before. How do you think she prepared for that race mentally? Because for me, it was a mental breakdown for Sha'Carri today, because obviously we know she's a talented sprinter, but I think mentally she wasn't there. I think she lost the race from a long time ago, but when it was the interview that it was Jamaicans and her there, and they were asking questions and she was very defensive, I can see that they already get in her head. And then when it was Shelley, Sha'Carri, and Elaine, I think that also played a role in her mental. So can you just go ahead and just explain to me, what do you think was going through these athletes' head?
Well, first thing, it sounds crazy, but everybody think that they can win the race. Like, that's the first thing. So whether or not you have one leg strap up, you're the slowest time going in. You just have to focus on you can win the race. And then the other attitude is that never underestimate your opponents. So the two popular mindsets to have is that you have to be confident in yourself. And I would expect that from especially, obviously, Elaine, Shelley, Talu, those people. They're all coming in thinking that they can win, and rightfully so. You just have to have that attitude. But at the same time, they will be focusing on what they know they need to do to win. So if you know that you always choke at this point, you always shortchange, underperform at this point, they would have that in mind that, okay, this is what I'm going to do to get that race that I have in me and get it right. I do think this conference might have been intimidating for her, for Sha'Carri, to have the 3 medalists from Tokyo, knowing that the US media really set her up as well, because they're looking for their hero. She wrote, they did not get anything from the athletes that they didn't get what they want from the athletes that they sent to Tokyo. So they're looking for Sha'Carri to give them, kind of an Olympic rematch. They want her to spoil up the Jamaicans. They gave her lane 5 and split up the field. She was in the center for a reason, right? So Sha'Carri knows this. She knows that they are looking to her for, they're looking to her to do this big task of silencing these Jamaicans. And, that would have to put added pressure on her. And like I said, even before that press conference, before the extra media interviews and all of that, her personality, the bravado, all of that, for me, I sensed that it was going to either she was going to be at the front or she was going to be at the back, like underperform, just not do it or not have it. So that's how extreme, that's the vibe that I was getting from her. Is either she was going to do really well or she was just going to just not do anything and be unimpressive. So that it ended up playing out that way. When I saw the lineup, I was thinking to myself, everybody in this race has something to prove. Shelley-Ann has something to prove. For them, for Shelley-Ann, for Sherika, for Talu, especially those 3, it was an opportunity for a rematch. It was an opportunity for a rematch, especially for Shelley, because there was a big, Shelly went into Tokyo as the favorite for most Jamaicans. She went in as the favorite. So it's an opportunity for her, especially knowing that she ran 10:63. She knows she has it in her. So it was a big opportunity for her to prove something. And for Elaine, again, it was an opportunity for her to solidify herself. She won in a dominant way. She did it again today. So everybody had something strong to prove, and they know that coming in. And that would be on their mind. Again, for Sharika, I feel like for her, it was again to prove again. I mean, even though she's gotten the bronze, people are still like, oh, the quarter mile got a bronze. So she don't like that. She wants more as a sprinter. So everybody had something going for it. Kambunji, the other Swiss athlete, Del Ponte PR record, she has going for. She wants to get back at her. Everybody in that race has something to prove. So it was going to be an exciting race, and I was really looking forward to it. Sha'Carri had a lot to prove. She had the entire, and let's be honest, despite the 10.5 and all that, a lot of people were tuning in because Sha'Carri was in the race. So, you know, everybody in there had something to prove. I hope that answers your question. I think I may have said, but.
Thank you.
All right. Wally, do you have any question for Daniel?
Hi, good night. Yes, one quick question. Personal question. Track related, of course. So I just want to know what sort of assessment you did to make a determination as to why you chose the 4 hurdles versus the sprint hurdles. What went into that, and was there any point in time where you actually considered doing the sprint hurdles?
Yeah. So when I went to Texas, the University of Texas, I actually wanted to try the sprint hurdles. And I did run it one time. It was horrible, but I didn't practice for it. So I went there as a freshman and I wanted to do both, and the coach said no. And then, you know, like, this actually happened to me twice, and the coach said no. And then, like, a week, 2 weeks before conference or so, she was like, okay, well, yeah, you can do it. And I was like, what? Like, I asked in September and now it's like 2 weeks from conference. And so I did practice for it. I ran one race, and, you know, it was just when I was in high school, I was running the flat 400, but I was obsessed with the 400 hurdles from before I even got to high school. You know, and when I went to Woolmars, I was like, Mr. Carr, I want to do this race. And he was like, no. And I was like, you know, obviously hurt, still running the 400. I was running PBs, but just not, it was like 55, 9 to 55, 8 to 7. So I wasn't leaving the 55 seconds. And so I was in class 3, I believe. And I just wanted to run the 400 meter hurdle, begged. I watched the other girls at school do hurdles, and, you know, and then it so just happened that, again, a few weeks, maybe 3 weeks before Carifta trials, I think it was 3 of us. I was top 3. I was number 3 in under 17 girls in the 400, but it was like a clear number 3. Like, I was 55 seconds and the other 2 girls were like 53. So he was like, it's top 2, go to Carifta. And, you know, I've been begging to do the 400 hurdles from September. And then 3 weeks before Carifta trials, he's like, oh yeah, you can do the 300 meter hurdles. And so I switched 3 weeks before, went to the trials, I won. Of course, hurdling like a crazy woman at the time because I didn't practice. And I went to the character games, I won the meet, and I started practicing for the 400 meter hurdles after that. And, you know, when I was in high school, I never had, it wasn't until I was getting ready to leave Wolmer's that I started like showing potential for speed for like 200 and 100. It wasn't until I left Wolmer's that started showing. And when I went to college, nobody knows this except for my teammates at Texas, but I used to beat all the sprinters in the 30-meter flies at Texas. And so when I think lost 2 of our sprinters, one person hurt, one person out, and there I was on Texas's 4x1 running, you know, and the backstretch at regionals, and we were running 43 seconds. I know that's high school time now, but so I ran in the finals at nationals for on their 4x1, but I used to win the 30-meter flies in practice, run beat all the sprinters, but that still did not encourage my coaches to let me run the sprint hurdles. I was still very much just a 4 hurdler, which I didn't mind. I didn't want to run the sprint hurdles to do it competitively or to do it professionally, I should say. I just wanted to work on my technique and be more efficient for the 400-meter hurdles.
Okay.
So I don't consider. Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, I was just saying, I feel like, you know, I just like my style of running is just not for the sprint hurdles. But yeah, that's basically what I was going to say.
Okay. Devin, any question for Daniel?
But of course. So first of all, I have 2 questions if you don't mind, Mr. Host. All right. So first of all, I was disagreeing with you. I was disagreeing with you in the comment section, Daniel, about Sha'Carri being disrespectful. All right. So my first question is, I don't think she's being disrespectful. I just think it's just a marketing strategy. And why do you think it was disrespectful? And the second question is, as it relates to Elaine, do you think she can become like the face of track and field, whereby, you know, where at the championship, when Bolt was running, the 4x1 was an event that was used to close instead of like the 4x4. You think, you know, she could reach to that stage whereby like the 4x1 for women could be like the closing event of a major championship? You think she could reach that stage?
I think the difference with Bolt is just his command of people, his character, his, you know, that thing was just so natural for him. I don't see anybody out there that's commanding that. I see people with potential. I honestly don't see Elaine being that entertaining in that way. I think everybody wants to watch her run. Pardon?
Not even if she break both records, because I know you're saying she may break the one. You think she can break the 100, but the 200 may be far. But let's create a hypothetical situation where she breaks both. You don't think that could be achieved?
Well, all right. Let's put it this way. A lot of people expected. There were a lot of records on watch in Tokyo, and for example, like I said, the 400-meter hurdles with Barham, that blew my mind. But I'm still not looking for it to be an event closer. You know, Elaine broke the record in the 100-meter, the Olympic record. You know, I'm still not looking for it to be an event closer. The American women 4x4 team, that was a super race. I still, you know, I think it's just more about a combination of personality or that marketability, that being able to attract a lot of people. When I was going to Carifta in the early days, I used to travel to different countries as a junior athlete, people used to come up to me, not being able to speak a word of English, and they would be like, yo, Bob Marley. And then by the time Bolt broke the record, I went to Moscow, and this man couldn't speak English. He came up to me, he's like, Usain Bolt. And I was like, yeah. So I feel like you have to get to that level to have people all over the world want to, you know, and they know when you're at that level. They know when the views are coming in. They know when people, the ratings are up. You know, that's why there's so much focus on Sha'Carri, because people want to see her win or lose. So, you know, that's why I just don't see anybody pulling that type of energy right now. I don't see that.
Okay.
And I don't remember your other question.
I just disagree with you and Sha'Carri being disrespectful. I was saying, why you think she was disrespectful? It was just trash talk.
All right. No, there was elements of her comments that were acceptable as trash talk, and there were some times when she just was just straight up just disrespectful. And I think that, like I said, you have people who do trash talk and don't even like each other, but they won't disrespect the other person, at least publicly they won't. And it's just a part of sportsmanship and diplomacy. And I just think that she was lacking in that regard. But it's the era that we're in. She's kind of like a caricature of one of that like reality hip hop type caricatures that we see, you know, Black women stereotypes. And I think people like it. A lot of people defend it and protect it. But I think, you know, it's not necessarily where we want to see all the athletes behaving that way. That would be just a disaster. But again, okay, something just popped up on my screen, distracted me. So, but again, I think that the attention is good. I think like you said, the times the comments that she made that were a little bit off were a lot. Everything else trash talk, so I'm not gonna beat her down. And I like the attention. And I think all the other athletes their publicists could help them more in terms of helping them how to become as marketable as Bolt if they want that attention. That's if they want it. You know, and I see, like I said, I see improvements in the way Elaine does her interviews and the way she presents herself. Shelly is a master with the camera. She knows how to present herself. She knows what she wants to say. She says things that people can retweet and say, oh my God, so inspirational. So she knows she has a better idea of how to try to capture that type of attention. You know, I think they're learning and I see improvements. I would be more worried if I didn't see any improvement, but I am seeing improvements. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right, so here's one of our commenters saying that Elaine sponsors should do more first. That is Shanila Ellis saying that Elaine sponsors need to do more first. I think we all agree on that one. And Daniel, here's another question from Anthony Henry saying that, can you give us an example? Can you state an example? And I believe he's talking about in reference to what you see as disrespect that Sha'Carri had put forward.
I know that's what he's talking about. I would have to go back and search on Twitter. And I can't do that right now. Okay.
Okay. Ryan, do you have any question for Daniel?
Sure. Night again, Daniel. Some months ago, the panel and I were having a discussion in regards to Brianna, and most of them were saying that they think she needs a change in coaching now, given that she's not doing much better over the last year or so in terms of not going below 10.9. Do you agree with that notion?
That she needs. All right, there is so much that goes into getting to the time that you want, and I don't know the intimate details. I would say that if and she's up against she's up against a hefty field, but looking at her development personally, she improved by, all right, so basically she's consistent because her times last year was, her PR last year was nullified or made void. The previous year was made void, and then she comes now, runs 10:97 again. I would give her until, because she's 19 years old, I would see what happens next year leading to the World Championship before I make that decision. I don't know much about Brianna. I don't know much about Brianna, like how I have, been on teams with everybody else that I can comment on, but I don't know much about her. So I will, but for me on the outside, it seems that her running style or her personality goes well with having like a one-on-one coaching situation. I just think that works for her. And again, maybe this is it, because she started doing professional training much earlier than the typical athlete. And a lot of people were saying, hey, this is what Kebona Davis needs to be doing. This is what the Clayton twins or Ashanti Moore, these people need to be doing professional training once they're identified. And she started doing that. When I was watching videos of her, she was lifting some serious weights. And I'm like, wow, and a lot of coaches wouldn't allow, athletes to lift at certain ages. And, the game is changing. So I would like to see, I would have expected her to run a faster time. But again, especially in the light that, I'm not, Kemba came on the scene and run 10:9, So I would think that next year, I would give her another year before I start considering that. But I actually don't think she's gonna leave. So if she does, I'd be really surprised. I think that the coaching situation is ideal for her. It's beneficial. Her coach is well connected. She likes that. She likes the media time. She's somebody that if she starts blazing up the track, she would get a lot of attention, a lot more attention. So in terms of leaving, I would say not just yet. I'd wait and see what she does next year, leading into the World Championship or next year's Commonwealth, right? Yeah.
But on that point that you just made, right? You said that he has connects and all of that. No, wouldn't it benefit both him and the athlete if he gets her to a better coach and remain as her manager? Because you can pull all the strings as being her manager, because you still have the connects. But in terms of coaching, you'd actually have her under a coach that is better than you, because as I said, I don't think Otto Bolden is any good of a coach. That's just my personal belief. Because I remember this particular athlete from Trinidad, that athlete from Trinidad was slated to be one of the better athletes out of Trinidad, and her career just went downhill.
Khalifa?
Yeah, Khalifa.
Are you talking about Khalifa? All right. Have you ever met a coach? If you think athletes have egos, you can't tell a coach that a coach isn't good. So it's a very difficult thing. It's a very difficult thing because in order to be in the game, you just have to have this ego, you have to have this confidence, you have to trust the process, and you have to stick to the process until it works. And for him, this is his opportunity for that. He's not gonna let go of Brianna. And I don't know. I think that it may be a little bit premature saying that she should leave. Some people, their development process is like stagnant, and then they shoot off. And some people improve gradually. Some people just keep going every year is something special. So I think she might be consistent now and it appears stagnant, but she might shoot off in the future if she continues, like maybe let's say she's plateauing right now. Do we think she's gonna go up or down. Oh, I think I did that in reverse, but I think she's plateauing. She's young, and I think she's gonna go up.
Okay, Kems, go ahead.
All
I
right.
don't
So
know when. I don't know how long the plateau will be for, but
Dan, I have one last question, right? I think it was last night or the night before, we were on the podcast, and we were talking about Tina Clayton staying at champs, right? We were talking about staying at champs, and you, as an athlete that has been at champs, right? And I was telling him about a where he spoke about the fact that athletes that come to him, they have too much mileage. They have too much mileage on their legs, right? So when we can go back a little bit in history, for example, and Anisha McLaughlin, when she used to beat up Shelly left, right, and center every single time, every time she booked Shelly is a beaten fair. But then as soon as the transition, Shelly has taken that transition and Anisha has not, right? And we can talk about several so can I'm not you don't have to go into deep details, but I just want to know how can we, I would say, bridge the gap where we transition well, or when can an athlete say, okay, no more champs for me, time to take it to the next level? Because we have a panelist here that said champs is glorified PE, right? So how can we go ahead and take that to the next level to prevent the athletes from either having a lot of mileage on their body and actually being fresh and ready to take on the tedious training from a Stephen Francis, from a Glenn Mills, and so on?
all right. So that's a lot. Well, sorry. Athletes come from different backgrounds, first of all, and some schools have different champs culture. Some champs culture and schools, their programs are more intense. So you find, for example, just like you said, like a Stephen Francis, he would rather an athlete from Titchfield or, St. Thomas Technical. He would rather an athlete from those schools rather than from, St. Diego or Edwin Allen, because he knows that the workload and the mileage and the is less, and that the room for improvement, that's what coaches want, the room for improvement. That's what they look at, really. So if you're fast, but they see that the room for improvement is still so great, that's when they go after you. If a lot of coaches feel like if you do all of these things from high school, that there's not much more that you can do, and there's not much challenge. So there's actually, people don't really look, for you to go much further because they already accepted or feel like you peak from high school and you're not gonna do anything unless you show signs that there's like a great room for improvement. I think that there's a different champs culture at different schools that plays a role. The background of the student matters, because some people, for example, some athletes, their coach is also their parent and their provider. So it's not as easy to say, well, all right, so and so run fast, let us take them away from this coach, let us do this. It's not that simple. Sometimes the very people who build these programs, they feed and parent these kids, and they have a lot of influence, and their interests may not be in the best interest for the athletes long term or immediate. Everybody wants to win, and they're putting in an investment, and it's mutually beneficial for them and the athlete at this time. And then, when it can't be beneficial for them anymore, bye-bye, let's make you go on to the next step, and you and them work it out. So some people don't really worry about what happens after high school and after champs, and that's a reality. They want to know, and when they're sending you off, they want to know, well, what can I get for this thing that I prepared? So it's a business. Everybody wants something for their hard work that they put in. You have people who care, and you have people who ensure that, hey, you did this for me, so I'm gonna set you up on your merry way. Best of luck. And some people don't even do that. So it's I don't want to say anything general, because the circumstance is so different for so many people. Some people leaving, all praises to their coach. Some people don't even want you to call them coach name. So it's very personal. It's very subjective for me. Even people under the same coach, different rules apply. And you see that happen even professionally. That's why people switch camps.
Real quick.
So it's a very sticky thing, and but I do notice that certain athletes. For me, I can tell the athletes who are gonna leave Jamaica versus the ones that will stay here and train. For example, like I wasn't surprised that Kebona or Chris Taylor left. Those were, and Akeem, those are athletes that got a lot of negative comments. People tend to kind of run away from yard when they get that type of athletes that were stuck in the shadow. They kind of leave, get an opportunity to go somewhere and shine. So if you watch, there are different patterns you can see. But I feel like I'm rambling. I don't even remember what the question was.
Real quick. Can you talk about sponsorship, right? Because I know that there's a lot of athletes out there that when they transition, they don't know how they're going to get the sponsorship in order to continue their pro career, while some have sponsorship put on for them. And so can you talk about why we have some athletes that have to be working while still training versus some athletes who just go ahead and just get the sponsorship right out?
All right. So some athletes, it depends on your event and the time. So different events, different time, country, you earn your market value is different. Some athletes still, even if they run fast, did they run it? The circumstance matters. Okay, the circumstance matters. So there are a lot of athletes who turn down contracts that are low because they know that if they run this, there's a belief that if you start at $10 when you run fast, they're gonna move you to $15. Versus if you hold out, run fast, and then have them start you at $1,000, and then when you do well, you move up to 100,000. So some people turn down low contracts for that reason. Some people don't want to. Some people actually wait until the sponsors that they want offer them something. It's different. Some people need an agent. Maybe a more experienced agent can get you a contract versus a newbie who doesn't have any connections yet. So there's a lot of different factors that come into play other than the time and the performances. And then you have sponsor support from your nation, your country. Some countries give their athletes grants. They support them monthly, bi-monthly, something like that. So you get different types of support. You get I think countries like Canada, a lot of the Caribbean countries, they give their athletes monthly thing to prevent them from having to work a 9 to 5. Mostly, I feel like that goes on in the States. When you're training in the States, it's kind of easier for you to work and train. It's very difficult to do that in Jamaica and even have it be any bit of realistic. Most athletes that I know that work, it's something like not taxing, like selling t-shirts or braiding hair is taxing, by the way, especially if you're standing. But people who they try to do things on the side that's not like having them on their feet all day. And most people, as I know, that work is like, if they didn't do well, they go away, work for the summer, save their money, and kind of have that aid them through the year. But I don't know anybody who really work as strong, except for one person who works like a proper 9 to 5 and train, which is super, super difficult. Especially like the person works on their feet. I think they're in kind of like an engineering position, fixing things. So that's the only person that I know that actually does that type of on the feet work. And, you know, they actually ran a PB this year after in the 100 after training for so long and so. But in terms of sponsorship, it's just about mostly on your performance, and especially if you can do it at a championship. That's why people wait until they make a final at the World Games or Commonwealth or Olympics, especially Olympics, and especially if you win a medal, then your value goes up. So I hope that answers your question.
If the host would allow, Daniel, I can't let you leave without answering this question. So there is an ongoing debate as to whether athletes should leave and go to the States, because the argument is that in the colleges burn out the Jamaican athletes, and because they don't have our national interest at heart, they just burn them out for the collegiate circuit, and so they have no use at the national and international level. Is this burnout phenomenon on the collegiate circuit real? Ken has stated on this podcast that is really misinformation. There really isn't any burnout on the collegiate circuit. Having been there yourself, we'd love to hear from you.
All right. So, you know, definitely I would say there is burnout. And it's not just about Jamaican athletes as well. You see a lot of athletes who, especially if they go to the powerhouse schools that have that rigorous training program, it's a win-win-win. It's about running fast and running fast quick. It's not like a program, you know, in Jamaica where the coach is patient and they know that they're looking for a long career and they don't have a problem building you up. It's like, hey, you're here, we need you to run this and we need you to run it now. So their program is different. And for somebody who's had the opportunity to be in one of those top programs in the US collegiate system, and then come to Jamaica in another top program, the MVP program, you know, the difference is startling. And you know, one of the things when I got to MVP, they were like so excited. They were like, yo, you ran that fast and you can't even lift up a bench press, you know? So I was so weak in areas, but I was lifting heavy weights in like, how do I explain this? We did quick lifts, power lift to just quick explosiveness. But then when I went to MVP, the more on building like true strength from scratch. Like, yo, start off with 10 and build your way up. Don't skip 10 and go to 15 and train yourself. Then the next step is 15. The next, you know. So there was a gradual build up, a gradual development. There was no rush. Like, yes, they want you to run fast and do well, but that should come gradually and be sustainable. And a lot of colleges don't care if it's sustainable. They just want you to run fast for them, deliver the championship, deliver the points, and they're not necessarily worried about what happens after those 4 years. So there's a big difference in that. The people that do well are the people who coaches don't have them run 5 events in college like it's champs. You know, you have coaches like that who treat their athletes as professional from day one. Listen to them. When I was in college, I didn't even know, there's a difference, So a lot of people in college run injured or run, below running. The collegiate system puts a lot of focus in getting quick fixes in terms of injuries. For some things that they would pull you out of a game for, just like champs, you might go out there and run injured and make it worse. So it's very intense. Their focus is just on winning. The coaches, staff, the school, everybody gets a bonus except the athlete when the athlete wins, right? Everybody gets paid extra when the athletes do well except the athlete. So that's how the collegiate system works. So they're not worried about your sustainability. So burnout does happen. It's far from misinformation. It's very, very real. I think what we're seeing in Jamaica is an opportunity for a lot of athletes. They have a real choice, a choice before a lot of, because there was no resources, there was no scholarship level locally, and are available, UE UTech, GC Foster, NC, all the colleges are developing, community colleges have track teams as well. And you private coaches, we have coaches specializing in throwing, jumping, sprinting, hurdling, men's track and field, women's track and field. So there's a great opportunity for more and more athletes to stay locally, and works out. There are more camps popping up, more, and the coaches are protecting their interests. They look out for their people, and I think it works well. And I hope to see more athletes staying locally. But again, I do feel like some athletes benefit from leaving. You have some athletes who need to get away. Like I don't see that. I would have liked to see Kebona, for instance, go to MVP, but I don't necessarily disagree with her going to Texas. I think Kebona is somebody, for example, who needs to find herself. She kind of gave me that deer headlights spaciness in high school, like she was watching herself running almost from outside her body. So the last part of this season, watching her at trials, I felt like a little light bulb ticked off in her, and like we're gonna see her have a really good year next year. So I feel like some athletes need to get away and find themselves, and that's okay. But I'm happy that the local scene is so well developed and developing, because it's still growing and expanding and improving, that people have the option to stay here.
Okay, so Daniel, we're not going to hold you for much longer. I'll have to say it was a pleasure having you here, and you have now become a part of the Sports for the family. So again, you impart some knowledge on us in terms of things that we really had some questions about that we never really had any inside information on. So it's good that you have opened our eyes to a lot of things, and in regards to things that you have planned in the future, I mean, the Sports Frenzy family is right behind you. Whatever you decide upon doing, the whole panelists and the whole producer and the host himself is behind you in whatever you choose to do. So you can reach out to us whenever you want, and we'll make it happen. All you have to do is just make a link, man, and we'll make it happen. So again, it was a pleasure having you here, and as I said, you impart a lot of knowledge on us.
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It was a pleasure, definitely being a part of this conversation. And, I didn't know what to expect, but I'm happy that I was, able to tune in and be a part of this discussion. And again, thank you for having me, and big up to everybody. I wasn't able to follow the chat and see the comments, but I'm going to review them and catch up.
In your time.
Yes.
But Kems, your 30 seconds.
Dan, don't follow Wally. And no matter what say, me say burnout don't real or don't exist. I said, what I said was that people are misinformed about the burnout. Once them see an athlete go up on the collegiate circuit, them say, oh, the athlete have a burnout. So I said they're misinformed about the burnout thing. However, what I want to do, I want to big up my wife. She's over there in Oregon. I'm going to see her later. 10.54, the fastest woman alive, the second fastest woman of all time. I love you, Mrs. Elaine Thompson-Herah Barrington, right? And Manchester United will be playing tomorrow. So
Yeah,
ensure
that's
to
more than 30
tune in
seconds. That's more than
because
30.
it's beat and teach.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
30
Wally, your
seconds
30
into that
seconds.
Manchester United.
Wally?
Daniel, again, it was a pleasure having you. It seems like Kim's has a hearing problem because I did say misinformed and I even typed that in the chat. But he likes to grandstand, so I can see with him. An excellent performance by the currently, I was one of the greatest of all time, certainly. In our next podcast, we can really discuss where she is in terms of Shelley and VCB. I've seen a lot of chatter where that is concerned. We can really break that down on the next podcast. And last but not least, I really, really hope that Arsenal will not take me out of
Oh
this
my God.
wonderful mood that I am in
I'm
right
glad
now.
Arsenal dead tomorrow for love.
Devin, why are you intervening on the men 30 seconds? It's your
Yes,
30
please,
seconds to talk
please.
about whatever. No,
Yes,
go ahead. No,
thank you
go
very
ahead.
much,
It's your
Mr.
30
Host.
seconds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Host. Okay, Devin, over to you.
My time or rant time? My time?
Your time, man.
All right. Thanks, Daniel, for being here with us. And, continue to be. I'm happy that you are in the teaching field because I'm a teacher for many years and I'm still a teacher. I'm happy that you choose that field. I know you're contemplating about doing different aspects with your brilliant mind, but you could still stick to being a teacher and being rich. That's not the case by me, but you could still make it by being a teacher. Wonderful performance by Elaine. Wonderful performance by Elaine. And I'll close off by saying this. We can't talk about Elaine in this race without mentioning Sha'Carri. And people are saying, oh, why we keep talking about Elaine? We just had to mention Sha'Carri. Sha'Carri is the reason why this race was so big. If Sha'Carri wasn't in there, trust me, that many people wouldn't have watched today.
True.
Agreed upon. Ryan, your 30 seconds.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Daniel, and imparting some knowledge on some things that I wasn't so sure about. As it relates to today, I am a happy man. I said that girl from USA was not going to come anything more than fifth,
Yes,
and the
Sure,
panel
sure.
and you guys came in third. So I am happy, even though I was wrong and she came worse. That makes me more happy. As for tomorrow, I hope that Chelsea keeps me in a good mood and that Arsenal get dirt.
All right, Daniel. So it's on you now to just tell our viewers where they can find you, and so they can just tune into you to get some more knowledge.
Oh wow. So where they can find me. Okay, so they can find me on Saturdays, well today at 1:30 on Primal Media, Primal Sports Media. And they can find me on my Instagram and Facebook page for now. Daniel Dowie. Instagram go Dowie go. And that's it. In season, I sometimes work with Sports Max in season doing sports analysis, but right now it's that action is done until next season. So I'm just here until something else starts.
Okay, say no more. We remember that the Sports Friends family has been there. So whatever you are going to do, we'll ensure that our viewers are in tune so they can come over and witness some greatness in terms of sports analysis. With that being said, want to say thanks to all our viewers that tuned in tonight. It was a pleasure being here with you guys. All our commenters, we appreciate all of you. To our producer, Josh Carlos, who made this possible on each night and each time the shows goes on. Respect again, Bossman. And thanks to Kems, Wally, Devin, and Ryan for being here. And last but not least, the best of the lot, Daniel Dowie. Thanks again for being here, man. The first female to
Thank you
actually
guys for having me. Yeah, thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored to be the first female on your podcast. So thank you very much.
I really hope that you set a trend. I hope more of the females actually be brave enough to come on the podcast because a lot of them are coward. They don't like
Really?
Here, just easier.
So that being said, thanks again, and until next time, which will more than likely be Monday. See you guys. Take care. Peace out.
Yes, sir.
Blessings.